So back in 2019, I was one of the first to get hands-on with the original folding Huawei smartphone. Sheesh, check out those views. And since then, folding smartphones feel like they're here to stay. I'm Kwan, and this in my hands is the latest folding smartphone from Huawei, the Mate XS2, with some key improvements. We're gonna take a closer look here on Kwan Reviews. So to begin with, Huawei, with their original folding smartphone, adopted a design that was different from others, where the screen folds around the outside. And this year's new Huawei Mate XS2 sticks with this design. Huawei have focused on adapting the hardware to introduce the industry's first double rotating falcon wing hinge design. This, in Huawei's words, helps make the Mate XS2 Ultra. And we're talking ultra flat. And you can see this when you open this out, especially when you compare it with, let's say, the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3. It's also ultra thin at around 11.1mm, both in its closed form, which actually looks more like a smartphone you'd use in 2022, but also opened up at 5.4mm. And finally, ultra light. Again, on the scales, the numbers speak for themselves. And Huawei have also used glass fiber you'd see commonly in the aerospace industry on the back. And all of these improvements help make the Mate XS2 become lighter and more durable. Another thing I've got to mention is the impressive sounding speakers. They're these ultra thin, there's that word again, high amplitude dual stereo speakers and the AI sound engine. And the really impressive sound quality that you get from a smartphone. By the way, this comes in two colors, and I absolutely love this white color, and I like how the texture feels like leather. It's definitely a premium look and feel. Now, the display features this bright and vibrant OLED screen that Huawei are calling True Chroma display with 120Hz refresh for that super smooth scrolling, and it starts at 6.5 inches and then opens up to 7.8 inches. Now, multimedia and gaming look and feel incredible, and that familiar crease that you do get with folding phones looks considerably reduced on the Mate XS2, and thanks again in part to that hinge system. I like how Huawei have also worked on adapting the software to make use of that display with features like this new smart multi-window that helps with productivity, and check this cool selfie trick where the display can be used for the person in front of the camera. It's pretty neat and helpful. Now, talking of camera, this comes with a True Chroma camera system, and that's made up of the hardware, which is a 50MP f1.8 main paired with 8MP f2.4 telephoto with OIS and 3x optical zoom, and finally a 13MP f2.2 ultra wide. There's also the Huawei XD optics, which is Huawei's image processing engine that Huawei introduced with the P50 series. Shots taken come out incredibly nicely, and there's consistency across the different zoom lengths. Photos up to 10x are nice, and it'll go up to a maximum of 30x zoom, but that's where you'll notice obvious noise and distortions. Now, low light images also come out well with good details and vibrancy without that over processed look. However, that does kick in when you start zooming in. And on the software end, I like how Huawei have done this, where if you need to remove unwanted objects from shots, it's simple to do with a few easy clicks. On the front, there's a 10.7MP camera with an f2.2 aperture for all your selfie pics. So video on the Huawei Mate XS2 is pretty solid. Check this out. So we're starting off with wide. This is currently being filmed in 4K 30 frames per second, just to keep it consistent with the rest of the video, but you can film at a maximum 4K 60 frames per second. I think it does a really good job. There's certainly improvements, noticeable improvements when it comes to stabilization, but very good color accuracy and vibrancy. It's quite bright right now, but I think it does a good job with those colors and also with the dynamic range. Now, you're able to also zoom in, so you can zoom in slowly up to 10x, but let me just speed that up just to give you an idea of what that looks like, and then going all the way back out to wide. Let me know what you think of also the audio quality as well in the comments below. So this is a look at the front-facing camera for selfie videos. Now, I'm currently filming this in 4K 30 frames per second to match everything else, and there are two modes in this. So currently this is being filmed in wide,
and this is what it would look like at 1x. Now I prefer wide, it just gives more context to the background, what's happening there. One of the things I have noticed, however, is that if I start moving the camera around, there is a little distortion. I'm not moving it that fast. If I really move it around, you'll be able to tell that distortion there with the front-facing camera. Now, other than that, I think it does a reasonable job. Not as sharp, not as kind of bright as the rear camera. Understandably, it's different specs there. But also let me know what you think of the audio quality as well.
Now, the Huawei Mate XS2 is powered by the Snapdragon 888 processor, and that won't be available with 5G, so if that's important to you, that's something to be aware of. This model has 8GB of RAM and 512GB of storage, along with EMUI 12. It makes for smooth day-to-day use, multitasking, and for gamers. They'll be happy to know it stays cool during long periods of gaming, and that's thanks in part to the graphene liquid cooling system. There's also Huawei's own app gallery with access to most of the popular third-party apps. I was able to download apps I use regularly like WhatsApp, Facebook, IG, Twitter. The Mate XS also works with Huawei's own multi-screen collaboration, which I've focused on in the past, allows you to use multiple Huawei devices as one unified system. Check out the video at the end for a more detailed look. Now, battery life has been decent with the included 4600 mAh battery. I think that 120Hz dynamic refresh rate does help, and I'm always complaining of battery life, so having more is always a bonus. But the 66-watt Huawei Supercharge included in the box helps keep topped up with some incredible charging times. I was able to get about 90% charge in around 30 to 35 minutes, and that graphene liquid cooling system I talked about earlier also helps keep the device cool for this, though there's no wireless charging on this device. Now, as far as pricing and availability details, I'll include that in the comments below. Huawei are kicking off the pre-orders starting on the 27th of July in this part of the world, and they usually include cool freebies, so check out the link below for more details. And let me know your thoughts on the Huawei Mate XS2 in the comments below. Is this the best foldable smartphone in 2022? I'd love to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, check out this other one here. I'll see you there next. I'm Kwano, over and out. Peace and blessings.